I feel the person with like slam on the brake, slam on the gas. I remember
Yeah, I don't get that. It's just like, I'm not
All right. Okay, I need attention to Benson. I need mouse closed, and eyes up here. Need mouse closed, and eyes up here. I want to start by a couple of announcements. Tomorrow, Nick, element quiz tomorrow. Be ready for the one you missed. Sarah, she should know about this. I believe I talked to her yesterday. I'm not sure where she is. End of the quarter was last week. Yeah. Eyes. There's like one thing besides the test I'll accept late. That is that homework assignment with the electromagnetic radiation. But I need that tomorrow at the latest when you come to class.
Is that the one you kept giving back to us?
Yes.
You need what tomorrow? I got
Any late work
okay.
needs to be there by tomorrow. If you missed that last test, you should be seeing me about that. I believe there is someone here that mentioned it and never showed up. So unless you come today after school or tomorrow during lunch, I can't really help you. Is everyone, hey, I got everybody. All right. Your flame test lab, which you will do on turnitin.com, one of the things we do today is you'll sign up for my class. That is going to be due a week from today. I was going to make it due next Tuesday, but I forgot that there's a work day you won't be here, so I'll postpone it till next Wednesday. And then finally, everyone should have got your new assignment for me. You're going to do a small research paper, the atomic history timeline, just kind of how our model of the atom has changed over the years. So did everybody get a rubric?
No.
With the atomic history timeline. Right at the top, due date. At the top, write this down. Due date is Monday, November 14th. Monday, November 14th. Yes, Valerie?
Is this the one I'm on? That was the
Okay, that's fine. This will also be turned in to turnitin.com. So let's just look at what you have to do to get 4 out of 4. All right, there's like 6 components I need. First of all, your timeline, you need to investigate 6 scientists, which I've spelled out there, all the way from Dalton to Schrodinger. Now, I don't need a lot about them. As you're going to see, this isn't a 10-page paper or anything. Okay? So make sure you have complete sentences and proper grammar when you're talking about them. I need you to order them by date from earliest contribution to most recent. I need 2 to 3 sentences about their contribution to the atom. Can I get your head up, Justin? I need you following along. Now some of these guys, they did other things other than stuff about the atom, so just confine what you tell me to what their contributions to the atom are. Okay. They did some cool things, so look that up if you like. There's some vocabulary I need you to use. I need to see all those terms in your sentences somewhere. Okay, so the terms are cathode ray, I'm at number 4. Cathode ray tube, gold foil experiment, alpha particle, quantum mechanical model, and of course proton, electron, neutron, and nucleus. Typed, you need to include a picture. It doesn't have to be a picture of the person. It could be something represented what they did. fact, I'd rather you found that stuff, but you can definitely use pictures of the scientists themselves too. All right, 3 different sources, and that's what brings us here. Ms. Harris has generously agreed to go through some stuff about what you need to know, how to find proper sources, and then just as important, how to cite them. So I need all phones put away, right? And I need you to give her your undivided attention as she goes through this with you, okay? Does anybody have any questions? All right, well then I'm going to let her take over.
All right, so Mr. Benson has asked me to kind of go over a little bit about finding good sources for your research project. So I'm sure you've had to do other projects before in the past where you've had to find some information using the internet. So he can tell me kind of what it is that you want to look for when you're trying to find a good, credible, or reliable source. What type of things do you want to pay attention to and focus on to make sure it's a good one to use?
It says .gov.
Okay, so .gov and .org. So what would that mean if it had that at the end of the URL?
It's an organization or government.
Okay, so would that be a better source to use or a reliable source?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be a pretty good one to use. What else might you want to pay attention to or look at? Yeah?
Like who wrote it and if they have any
Degrees.
Exactly. So the author of the source and kind of what their background is in that subject that they wrote about. Okay, anything else?
How relevant it is.
That's right, how relevant it is to whatever it is you're looking at. Excellent. So today we're going to introduce a new way of kind of looking at sources. You may have heard of the ABC method before, but this is called the CRAFT test. And it's an acronym for basically the things you need to look for when you pull up a source, either a website or an article, to make sure that it is a good source for you to use and cite for your project. So the C stands for currency. So what does it mean, currency? What are we looking for when we're looking at a source? What would currency have to do with?
If it's current.
The date.
When it was published.
When it was published, right. So currency refers to the timeliness of the information, how recent it was written. And it depends on what you're doing, what kind of projects you're doing, whether you need the most up-to-date or most current information or not. You know, with a lot of things in science, they have evolved over time, so you want to look at more current things. But not necessarily. You may be doing a different project where you don't need something that has been written or published in the past year. So it just depends on what you are looking for and what your assignment is. Okay, the R is for relevance. So what would the relevance have to do with? What would you be looking for relevance?
How long ago it was published?
How long ago it was published? Well, that's kind of a little bit more towards currency.
How relevant it is
How relevant it is to.
the topic that you're researching.
Excellent. So the importance of the information for your needs. So does the information that you found, that you researched, does it answer the questions that you're trying to answer in your paper or your assignment? And also, you want to pay attention to who is the audience that it is intended for. There are a lot of sources out there that might be way too basic for your needs, or they might be really scholarly journals and way over your head. So you want to make sure that it's relevant not only to the topic, but to you, something that you can understand and that's going to be appropriate for your project. The first A is authority. So what do we think the authority might stand for? What are we looking for in authority of a source?
Who wrote or published the article?
Excellent. So we're looking at the source of the information. So that would be the author, the publisher, the organization that put together the information. And is that person qualified to write on that topic or to speak on that topic? I think someone had mentioned that earlier. So would they be a good person to give you information about that? Okay, the second A is accuracy. What would it mean to find an accurate source?
If it's true.
If it's true, if the information is true, how would we know if it was true? The
Look at
reliability
other
is, what was that? We want to look for the reliability and truthfulness or correctness of the content. How are we going to make sure that it's true?
If the information of one source is consistent with other sources you find.
Excellent. So you might want to compare it to several other sources. Don't just look at the first source and just assume that it's correct, especially if you're dealing with websites and not articles. So you want to compare it against other things that you find, other research that you find. And also if this has data to back it up, to support it, some evidence to support whatever it is it's trying to tell you. So the P stands for purpose. What might the purpose be? What does the purpose have to do with when considering a source?
Intent.
Great, so the intent. So why is it that this information exists out there? So there might be a website out there that's trying to sell something, or an article that's trying to entertain you, and those may not be the best sources because they have an agenda. What would be better sources would be things that are trying to inform or to teach, sources that don't have any bias or free from emotion. Those are the type of sources that you want to make sure that you're looking for, instead of something that's trying to sell you something that might twist the facts or only present certain information that sheds, whatever it is in a good light for that particular product. So there is this fun little crap rap that some high school students actually put together that I was going to play for you real quick. And it just kind of goes over the crap test one more time and hits home some of the things that you want to be looking for and considering when you're looking at every source that you find online.
C. Currency, not out of date. This helps make sure your info is restored, because old information isn't always right, so currency will help you with your first research fight.
R is for relevance. It has to be related to the topic that you chose. Now it's not outdated. It'll keep you on the right track if you start to stray, and once you use this, your info will be good to say.
A's is authority, so should be a pro. And if they are, then you know the facts are good to go. Once you write the facts, might not always be right, but the rule background check and bring the knowledge into life. Accuracy is the info truth. Find out things, it's important that you do. Do background checks on the things that you find out, so you know it's also beyond any doubt. That's the purpose. What's the website trying to do? Do they want to give knowledge or sell something to you? Check the ending of the site, .com.org.gov. Make sure the facts are something to be proud of.
That was fire.
All of these makeup sets that just cannot go wrong. DRAAP all day long. So don't forget that if you want to make a project that's the best, use the thing that makes the research good. The craft test.
Jerry, was that you? It sounded like Jerry.
Jerry listens to Coldplay.
So when we get ready to go and do the research for the timeline project, the main database that we're going to be using today is ncwiseowl.org. So I'm going to kind of run you through using this site. So when you pull up the website, you're going to want to first click on high school. And it's gonna bring you to a list of a bunch of different sources that will search information for you. If you're trying to access NC Wiseowl at home, there is a password that you'll need to use. Here at school you don't have to enter it in, but at home if you wanted to use it, you want to put in Wiseowl16, and that will get you into the site. So for the purpose of your project, the two main search engines that we're going to use are Science Reference Center and then also Britannica School. So when we go to Science Reference Center, you can use the search box up at the top and simply put in your scientist's name. or the scientist plus the atom, or atomic history if it populates too much information the first time to kind of narrow it down. But this one also has this button here that says scientist. And so it has a list of several different scientists. I think 4 out of the 6 scientists that are on your assignment are listed on here. So what you would do is you would just click on their name. And so it's going to populate a bunch of different articles and information. And if it's too much, like I said, you can go in and modify your search to try and narrow it down to the specific information that you're looking for. But then when you're ready to go and look at one of the sources, you would click on it. And then if you'll notice, they have an abstract here. And that basically is going to summarize what information is in the article. Because some of the articles are sort of long, so you may not want to read the whole thing. So this would kind of give you a little summary of what would be in there and if you should take the time to look through the whole thing or not. And then to see the full article, you would just click on over here, full text, and it'll pop up. What's nice about using the Science Reference Center is that over here on the right side, where it says Cite, you can click on that, and if you end up using information from this particular article, it's going to show you exactly how to cite this source. So you would scroll down to MLA, which is what Mr. Benson has asked you to cite your sources with, and it shows you exactly the site or the format that you would use for this particular article to cite your source. Now, if you wanted to use the Britannica School site, this one I found has a lot more pictures than the Science Reference Center. So when you're looking for a picture of either the scientist or whatever their contribution was, this might be a better place to find the pictures. So you can go in here and put in one of the names of the scientist. Okay. So here's going to pop up some information. And so if you were going to use this picture here, you would click on it, and what's nice is the little check mark over on the side. You would click that, and it gives you the MLA way to cite the picture right down here. So it makes it a little bit easy for you. But another way to cite your sources is by using easybib.com. So if you ended up using a website that didn't have, an easy way to cite your sources, what you can do is put the URL here and click Cite It. It'll try and pull as much information from that site as it can, but then it'll tell you what pieces are missing that you might have to go and dig for. Or if you were trying to cite a book, you could put in the title or the ISBN for the book, and it'll help generate the MLA format for you. So this is kind of just a rundown of the different things that you would need in your MLA citation. It starts with the author, then the title of the source, the title of the container, the book or the journal, other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, location, and then your web search engine, so Science Reference Center or Britannica School, and then the date access. And you'll notice that several of the things that we talked about in the crap test, you could tell by looking at a particular source's citation. You can tell the currency of it by looking at the publication date, or the authority by looking at who the container is or the contributors were. So this is one example of what an MLA citation would look like. And so when you're using these search engines, you don't have to put in the whole URL to show where you got it. You can just put in Science Reference Center and then the word web and then the date that you accessed it instead of putting in the whole URL. And then when you're doing your project, just remember that if you're quoting something directly or you're citing something in the text, you would put the author's last name and the page number that was found on within parentheses. And then citing photographs is very similar. A lot of the times you may not be able to find all the information that it has listed here for citing the photograph. So like in this example, it didn't have a person's name associated with the photograph that took it. So it just has the Guggenheim Museum in Spain. That's where you would just start off. You would just omit that first part of the information. a little activity now to kind of practice doing some organization of some citations. So what I have here are some different MLA citations for websites, but they're going to be mixed up. And so we're going to have you be in 4 different groups, and with your group, you're going to try and organize the information so that it will look like one of our MLA citations. So I'm going to leave this up so you can have that as an example. Let's see. Have you guys here, you two, if you could be over there, and then we'll have the next group be.
Wait.
We can be with that group, and then you put the girls starting down to here into one group. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You guys can be a group, and then
What's our group?
so first right here. All right. So you guys can go ahead and flip over your papers, and you're going to take a look at the different information that will be included in an MLA citation and try to put it in the correct order.
Let's spread them out first.
And then you have
First thing is.
you have the source.
He's not going to
Wait, I think this goes to the web, and possibly the website name, and then that's.
They're all websites.
Okay. No, the date goes at the end. No, that's right after. That's after.
Oh, this one's, which is,
Off the.
This first one is
the
on
publication date,
That definitely goes at the end. Yeah, that's at the end. No, I think that's.
You think you got it? All right, let's count
boom.
I'm just using this as a reference. It's at the end. It's in.
Usually use a comma.
Using that logic, in.
Is it in?
It's not. Yeah, the date doesn't.
right.
This is not.
But that's the day right there.
It's like in. No, it's not.
This is right.
It's not.
No, it doesn't.
What are sources? What's your source? This. Honestly, this is what it was.
Oh, where does publication go?
Wait, no, put that back.
Web and then the date access on the
So what would no be?
Literally just said that.
Wait, wouldn't web go in front of Indeed?
Would ND go at the end?
No,
She just
right at the beginning of that one.
It goes right after the name. I told you.
that's the publication date.
Right, and there's no date, so it goes right
But I
after the
thought
name.
that
This is the YouTube, right? That's the date. That's the date they found it.
Wait, did she tell me?
She didn't even say anything. She just said that meant no dates.
This is the publication date. Right here.
Thank you.
The publication date goes after website goes.
Those are the both that
It's just
So
this.
it goes first. The one that the author version. Yeah.
What would I have
We're just
That's where I put it. That's where the hell I put it. Is it? Or is that
You were going to help send it.
I got it.
Oh, yeah, wait.
Web features the title of
Wait, no. Web goes with the web goes with the right. Yeah.
So what comes next? What comes next after the
Web goes with the
Okay, so I don't think you guys have those pieces of information.
location is after publication date. So that's
Figure
wet.
out which one the publication date is.
This one will go out to web and
Oh, that's not the reason. This makes it.
After the article title, we have the title of the research, so it doesn't have a specific title.
oh, that was it. Just like it would be like the cover.
What's the information that's wrong? Publication. We want publication date, number, whatever that is. So which one is the So you gotta fit this one in here. So where does this one go?
No, you like that. No, I had it exactly like this. He had it like, no one's allowed to act like this. I'm the only one that's allowed to act like this. That's right.
Get to say.
You guys don't have to write this one down here. This is just a practice. Oh, okay. We were looking at that one for reference. Okay. Yeah, well, that one's, this one is already in order. This is an example.
Well, excuse me for raising a man.
So we're gonna, this is where we're gonna go to the computers and look up a question, and then when we find the answer to the question, we're gonna put it in.
No, I didn't. Y'all.
Did I say that?
You gave it a funny look.
All right, I think everyone's got it now. So we are going to get ready. On the back side of your notes is a little practice sheet. So what we're going to do is you're going to get to go to the computers that you logged into and answer one of the questions. I think there's a little question at the top. And when you find a source that answers that question, you're going to practice putting in the information in the little boxes and then citing your source in MLA format. And just like in this kind of example that we did together as a group, it may not have all the parts. There may not be an author, or there may not be, you know, a version or a number if it's not a journal article. So you just fill out the information that is there, okay?
All right, so can I get your eyes, please?
Yeah.
So, I'll wait. All eyes here, facing this way. Just getting it together, that's all. So first of all, before you do the assignment, which I do want you to do, you will turn it in when the project is due, because I want you to use that example there to help. All right? But you're going to need to know my turn it in account for 6th period. So if you could write this down, please. It's going to ask you for a turn it in code and a password. The code for 6th period is 139-133-77. Once again, that's 139-133-77. The password is chemistry, and everything's just lowercase. Just chemistry, lowercase. Yep. All right. So first, get into make sure you have my account set up. Then you're going to fill out. Do you guys understand what Ms. Harris's assignment here is? You're going to practice. You're going to find information about Marie Curie. Practice citing it. You're going to find a picture of Louis Pasteur and cite that picture. Okay?
And once you finish all that, if you have extra time, you can start doing research for your project. And I have these little kind of easy places to take notes for your project. If you want a hard copy, I have hard copies. If not, there is a copy of it in the student files, student activities under Mr. Vincent's class.
This is a hard copy for you to write down information for my students. She just said, say it. Can you tell them more?
I'm not saying.
Oh, you're saying online? Like if you're at home?
This thing is like a paper that we're writing?
You're writing a paper and you're submitting it to Turnitin.com, just like your flame test.
So today we're doing this.
That's what you need to do after you sign up for my Turnitin questions. All right, you can go. Yes, ma'am.
I see it. So it's like a paper like it's about
6 different scientists, 2 to 3 sentences each. Well,
do you just mean
like just put it in order.
Oh, okay. So each paragraph should be like
Right.
okay.
Yep.
Yes, we're practicing using online sources today. Oh, you are? Well, then you already maybe know the information, don't you? Well, if you want to, you can cite your book as well.